They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
So Brian Martin and Holly Bone, quote-unquote Futuristic Hub, found themselves in the midst of a lawsuit. Now, what is a lawsuit, you may ask? Well, imagine if a super serious courtroom where everybody's wearing the stuffy suits and being all serious, highly educated, qualified, and using official legal terms. Imagine that with the entire cost of Judge Judy. Brian Martin, the quote-unquote not owner of Futuristic Hub, and wife Holly Bone have just completed one of the funniest lawsuits ever to be streamed on our YouTube streets. This shit is great. So this lawsuit has actually been going on for pretty much like 6-7 years maybe. Because Brian Martin is the type of lolcow that produces lawsuits and legal action in order to intimidate and silence critics. So you'll have a very tough time finding many videos criticizing him because he does not threat with issuing false copyright strikes, sending bots, trying to harass creators in order to get rid of all types of criticism. I am making this video because I feel like he's somewhat a little bit too busy to care about this issue now. But anyway, if you want to know exactly what level of degen this person is and why you should never ever care about anything he says and does at all, you should feel no sympathy with what's happening to him right now, I would recommend these two videos from Turkey Tom. But just to summarize, a few years ago, Brian actually got into a situation where he ended up losing his channels, which was obviously massive monetary income. So that was Futuristic Hub and a bunch of other channels, and he was not allowed to make more channels. They were instantly terminated or ceased by YouTube and Google themselves.
Turns out that Brian was one of the individuals who managed the channel. In 2016, a lawsuit was filed over control of the video games account. Its conclusion ruled that Brian, as well as one of his business partners, were guilty of committing fraud by avoiding payments. They also were found to not have informed other owners of their proceedings. This ruling meant that Brian, as well as Marco Princip, owed the plaintiffs a total of $20 million. In the wake of this verdict, several figures in the gaming community came forward to state that they'd been scammed by the channel as well. This included Vicstar, Quebblecop, Whiteboy 7th Street, Lost in Peace, and Ali A.
So that was prior to him marrying Holly. He was actually still with his ex-wife, and they got divorced, and then he got married to Holly, and he owns more than 18 million. I cannot tell you how much exactly, but that is now the case. And so he decided that he wants money, and you cannot keep a good lolcow down. So what he's going to do is he's going to actually counter-sue Google, YouTube, David Taylor Moss, Dan White, and Fidelicious. I don't know how the fuck you say that. And to make matters interesting, because fuck it, why not, he now claims that he was never the owner of Futuristic Hub, and that the company has always, since 2012, since Futuristic Hub, the channel was created, was always owned by Holly Bone. The problem with that is, though, in 2012, Holly Bone was 12 years old, and Brian was 27. So yeah, you can do the math there. So basically his argument is that she, at the age of 12, created this channel and she hired him. And oh, by the way, what they do on this channel, here's a little fun little clickbait inside info. What they do on this channel is Minecraft sex animations for children. Yes, that was the purpose. That's worth going to court for. But I mean, it is worth 20 mil. So yeah, he kind of has a bit of a financial issue, and he's putting Holly right up there. And Holly is saying it's her channel. It's always been, and she is an animator now, at least. And that's the story that they're sticking to. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go over some clips that I gathered from this actual court proceedings. And we're just going to see when two worlds collide. We're going to react to the idea of these total fucking losers who are the truest sense of Zoomers and millennials trying to bring their internet problems to normie boomer lawyers who are just trying to follow court proceedings and having to experience Minecraft 6 fucking animations in the courtroom and then very sincerely respond to that as if it has any real world implications. This shit is fucking gold. Stay tuned. But before we get into it, please remember, this is all fair use and do not send any hate, harassment, or bullying to any of the individuals mentioned. This is purely for our entertainment. And of course, remember that I don't know anything about the law. I'm not equipped to tell you what's what. Do not follow my advice at all. So here we see Brian on the stand, questioned by the senator.
You fell in love with her, this 12-year-old girl. You ultimately felt. Let me finish my question. Okay.
So the senator is not losing his cool. He's actually embodying what we all feel.
You meet this 12-year-old girl, young lady, and over the years, you get to know her. This is what you're telling the court, at least, and ultimately fall in love with her. Divorce your first wife. And then you're so infatuated with her, you fail to tell her about an $18.6 million judgment against you.
This is the quintessential experience of encountering FuturisticHub, except this time he literally cannot get out because this is a legal court case and proceeding, and he totally has to be there. And yeah, as you can see, nobody's buying this bullshit. That is straight off the bat, that's what happened.
To sign into network through a channel she created in 2012, excuse me, and that channel is the FuturisticHub channel.
Okay, so realistically, you don't know whether you own it or your wife owns it.
There's a typo in here.
Sure, it's a typo, but you said it under penalty of perjury, did you not?
I didn't read the document.
Of course you didn't. Were you represented by an attorney? Were you represented, sir? Were you represented by an attorney before you signed this?
So the senator is employing a highly intellectual tactic here called just asking for the truth. And as you can see, this is new to Brian. He doesn't quite understand the concept.
All right. Exhibit 26, sir. This particular exhibit came about as a result of you lying to your wife. Your wife being Holly Bone. Is that correct? Now be honest. I want you to be honest this time, okay? This came as a result of you lying to your wife, right?
I kept something from her.
You were lying to her, right? Be honest this time. Come on.
Lying is a strong word. I kept something from her.
Well, this wasn't a strong deal. This wasn't something strong that you hid from her.
She was in shock that I kept it from her. I didn't blatantly lie about it.
You lied about it, but it wasn't blatantly.
It was not a lie.
What was it? Was it
not
just it was an omission?
No, it's not a lie. It obviously that's something that I just didn't disclose.
So it was an omission.
Could I ask for the definition of that?
When you had something from someone, frankly, you hid it from her, right?
So he's trying his best not to answer the question due to absolute frustration, confusion, and other signs that the demons might have taken full possession over his body.
What? I just didn't tell her.
Okay, you hid it from her then.
Okay,
Since you didn't tell her.
If that is hiding the details from someone, then yes.
Well, hold on.
It's becoming clearly very difficult for him to answer the yes-no question.
You get to know her. This is what you're telling the court, at least. And ultimately fall in love with her. Divorce your first wife. and then you're so infatuated with her, you fail to tell her about an $18.6 million judgment against you. You know, was that material? You didn't think she needed to know that before y'all got married?
This is fucking beautiful. This is the mind that we're working with here. It's like a child.
Hold up. Okay, read the next sentence.
Brennan Keating referred to me this way last winter when he admitted that I was not the cause of the interference in his contract with Marco.
Okay.
His video.
All right, so now, were you lying then or you lying now?
This is the third time that he's been caught out. Look at this normie response. Look at it. See, this is actually a trick question because Brian's mind doesn't really compute that the fact that he wants and says things doesn't necessarily translate into those things being the truth of the matter. So asking him if he's been truthful, of course the answer is yes, because he genuinely believes that as he says things, they materialize into action. Because he lives in literally like his own world. You know how when infants get confused when their mother leaves the room and they think that everything that is not in the room that they can't see or touch ceases to exist? That's Brian hasn't developed past that stage intellectually. He still thinks that everything that he decides and says in front of him right now is the truth, and everything that has happened prior or will happen in the future is absolutely of zero consequence. It's not real, it doesn't materialize. And you can see the senator is visibly confused because he has developed past that stage. He does in fact have the mind of an adult, and he is confused as to why somebody would be able to represent themselves in court when they absolutely have the intellect of a potato.
My question is what? Have you represented to someone that you were the owner of FuturisticHub?
As a representative, yes.
So, in other words, if I have a document where you say under oath that you were the owner, you were lying, correct?
No, not correct.
So wait, hold on, let's get this straight. If I have a document where you ended up saying that you were the owner of FuturisticHub, and you were under oath when you said it, then you're lying, correct?
I didn't read the document when I signed it.
That's not the question.
Here you can see once again he tries to break down the question into simpler components so that even the most fragile and smooth of brains can interpret the question being asked, which is, if you look at it very analytically, then it's a simple yes-no question. Did you or did you not own FuturisticHub? Are you the channel owner? Do you, Brian, have it in your palms? Is it in your hands? Did you create the login details for this channel? That's simply, I mean, I know it's very fucking high IQ shit here, but Brian is struggling, as you can see. He's having some spurg out session, and he's visibly confused, and I genuinely believe that it's because this whole setup of the law and a courtroom is just above his pay grade, and unfortunately everybody can't do everything in life, and this is just one of those things that the good Lord didn't bless him with. He's just not talented in the sense of speaking and answering yes-no questions. This is hands down my favorite scene in the entire court case. We get the juxtaposition of the boomer and the zoomer, and it's fucking fantastic. So you see a half chopped off head because who the fuck cares? You see absolute bad angle, bald spots, you see confusion, frustration left and right, and then at the bottom you see Holly realizing, maybe the only person realizing, how absolutely deep in the shitter they are, because right next to her is Brian, and he seems willfully ignorant of the fact that he's a tart. And this is it. This is the exact summary of everything that had happened. Girl crying, guy overconfident, and boomers struggling to figure out angles in Zoom. Brian's representative, spoiler alert, it's fucking Brian. Yes, he decided to be the dumbest fuck in the world and to also hire the dumbest representative in the world himself. he thought that it would be a great idea. So the judge actually informs us at this time that Brian is literally too stupid to be taken seriously. So not a single one of his questions will count towards the record. Not a single one of his questions will matter. And they are all nullified even from the get-go.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, before you ask questions, I just need to lodge an objection to any questions that you ask of Mr. Keating. And the objection on behalf of the plaintiffs are that since the judge has ordered that you are in contempt of court and that the judge also has struck all of your pleadings, it's plaintiff's position that you don't have the authority in the litigation to ask any questions to Mr. Keating. So I'll say you can go and ask your questions, but I'm asserting an objection to every single question that you're about to ask for that reason.
But does that stop Brian? Does it give him all the context clues necessary to actually just quit while he's ahead? No, of course not. Of course he's gonna give us some iconic fucking sound bites, and you know what? We deserve it. We've been here for a long ass time. We get to see how Brian tries his best.
Do you think that Minecraft attracts children?
Yes, I believe Minecraft attracts children.
Okay. Mr. Keating, how old is Brian Martin currently?
I don't know. How old are you?
Mr. Keating, I'm 37 years old.
Yikes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said yikes.
Would you explain why?
I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
you want me to. I think that will prejudice you. I don't think you want me to explain that.
Well, this I'm being very respectful to you, Mr. Keating, and I would like to know what you meant by that.
Well, 37 years old. That means you were how old when FuturisticHub was created? You would have been 28? 27?
A full-grown adult, yes.
Right.
Full-grown adult for the creation of the date of the channel.
Right.
Yes.
And since animated porn was uploaded to the channel that featured your voice, but yet you're saying a 12-year-old created the pornography, I say yikes because you just admitted to helping a 12-year-old child make pornography.
And of course, in his opening line of questioning, in fact, get questioned by the witness on the stand and folds. And this is indeed his opening monologue. This is everything you need to know about Brian. Once again, this guy is an entertainment god. This lawsuit is my favorite one thus far. Now, do not get confused by the convincing green screen. This is still just pretty much a regular person on a witness stand delivering his best. The reason why you might be confused as to his authority or how come he looks impressive or knows what he's talking about is because he's standing next to Brian. And unfortunately for Brian, everybody standing next to him gets an auto W.
Owned it and created the videos. You admitted it on the stand at trial in 2016. Do you want me to just name everything or just a few?
Let's talk about, because this is the same thing in Mr. Moss's case.
Okay.
The main reason that FuturisticHub is allegedly owned by Brian Martin is based off of what other people say.
Objection to form.
Yes, it is not quick wit in this sense. It is merely that Brian literally just asked him, is the reason why you believe that I own FuturisticHub the fact that everybody keeps saying I own FuturisticHub? And unfortunately for him, he was met with facts and logic and an unstoppable own, which was that there has been significant proof which alleges that he does in fact own FuturisticHub. Now, the only part about this court case is even remotely sad is pretty much this counter argument where people are saying that essentially they are like Bonnie and Clyde and that Holly was essentially duped.
To you. I believe there's another theme in this case, and I believe strongly that Holly Martin is kind of like Bonnie Parker, and Brian Martin is kind of like Clyde Barrow. I think Bonnie Parker was attracted to Clyde Barrow because he had a great car and he dressed well and he, led this exciting life.
Now, I think because of the reason that they are arguing that this is not because he's a total degenerate, it's because he's a pedo, right? So he didn't steal money, he didn't false flag, he didn't subbot, he didn't break terms of service. No, he's just a pedo, right? I think that leans credibility towards the Bonnie and Clyde narrative, and I do think that she, at least to some extent, is a victim. At this current time, and she's like 20 and he's 37. She's now also in massive debt and she's married to a genuinely objective loser. So yeah, I think it was a slam dunk win for the other side, just because Brian is literally too stupid to be allowed to function by himself. I think somebody needs to hold his hand as he walks down the stairs. I think he's not allowed to operate a toaster without permission from Holly. I do think Minecraft sex animation was the peak, and unfortunately he found a way to even fuck that up. So yeah, currently I feel sorry for her because it must absolutely suck. She is in a trifecta of shit. She has Brian to look after, she has the bills to pay, and now at the age of 20 she will probably be in debt for the rest of her life, and she didn't get her YouTube channels back. So yeah, her life fucking sucks, and she has taken the hardest of L's. You can see in this picture here that she again somehow recognizes this reality, and Brian literally doesn't even know what day it is. So yeah, things are different in their world.
That all through the trial. I've seen it all through this whole lawsuit. You're going to rule against him.
Actually, I take that back. The person that I feel most sorry for is the person representing Holly, because he must have, after all these years of training, trying to pass the bar, trying to establish himself as a lawyer, this is what he has to do with his time. He has to figure out how fucking Zoom works, and then he has to explain to a jury, to a judge, to his peers on YouTube live stream that 6 mods created by a 12-year-old and a 27-year-old was absolutely a justified thing to do, and they are well within their rights to sue Google because they just are right. He has to sit there, look people dead ass in the eyes as a normie, and he has to explain to other normies how this is a total normal reaction. Isn't that fucking something? And he already knew how this was gonna go. Imagine taking any harder L at this time. Like, literally your lawyer is already concluding the ruling because it's so fucking obvious that the only person in denial here is Brian. How redonkulous.
To understand my ruling at this point, I'm ruling in favor of plaintiff on all causes of action against Miss Bone. I'm ruling that we're discussing the amount of damages.
Yes, in case it wasn't obvious, they lost the case. They still owe their 18 million. They did not successfully sue YouTube. They did not get their channels back, regardless of whether or not Holly was the owner. I mean, they concluded multiple times in this case that it is more than proven that FuturisticHub was not owned by Holly, but regardless of that, we still got our win, and I think my thoughts were perfectly summarized by this comment left on the archive of this live stream. Yes, indeed, Brian L.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
How many siblings do you have?
And I have a twin brother who's 37.
Okay. You on your YouTube, what's his name?
Kevin Martin, Weather Channel.
What's he saying his name is on YouTube? A person on YouTube that we believe to be the twin
National
brother
Weather
of Mr. Brian Martin is threatening to kill me. Okay?
And of course, as the cherry on top of this entire lawsuit, Brian has a twin brother, Kevin, who is, let's just say, in his own legal trouble for pretty much the same level of degeneracy and stupidity. And for some reason, he decided to threaten the senator with a Minecraft ending that is most unpleasant. This family is truly a bunch of losers, and a gift that keeps on giving. Cannot relate. But anyway, I'm just a thought with an opinion. I don't know shit about fuck. Pile.
you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn off the Zoom. Just go
Your
ahead.
Honor, could I just say something, please? Your stream has been compromised. There's a lot of haters in your stream, and I think it's been tweeted out on an account with 40,000 people. They're bullying Holly in the chat. I've already alerted Rhonda. I just wanted to make you aware of that, Your Honor.
Offering Exhibit 4A, is that my understanding, Mr. Capua?
Yes, Your Honor.
Play the video.
All right, we got one. Move over, darky.
Paul, would you agree with me that you, according to your previous testimony, that you created this video? 4A.
You're muted, Miss Bone.
I don't even see her.
She's right there.
However, viewers immediately picked up on how odd the video was. It was truly more sus than a character from Among Us.